Shalom, Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone that rule well, who I learned this truth from. And salutations and blessings to you elect out there, starting with 144,000. All right, my name is Yeromia from the GMS Toronto branch. So what I have before me is from the Parliament of Canada, right, the bill C-63. It says an act to enact the Online Harms Act to amend the Criminal Code, the Canadian Human Rights Act, and act respecting the mandatory reporting of internet child by persons who provide an interest service, and to make consequential and related amendments to other acts. So this bill that brothers have been sharing around, primarily from that website, the People's Voice, I believe. This is from the government website, and this is the current status of the bill, right? Just like the other bill, C-67, I believe. It had a first reading in February 26th, 2024. All right, and so far there's no reading, and as you see, there's a due process to actually passing this. Now, I'm not saying that obviously things like this are not going to be passed because the famine of the word and the persecution of the prophets, right, are upon us. These are signs that we're in those times, but as you see, it's nowhere pretty much just not nowhere near being passed. But nonetheless, I'm going to read into it because you can read this. You can, as you see, text of the bill, read it for yourself. I didn't read the whole thing. I'm not going to sit here and I read from the top to the bottom. But I read certain things that piqued my interest through the Spirit, and I'm going to bring it out. So let's go. It's all mixed up, but let me go here. This is found throughout the various sections. So this is part 2, Criminal Code Amendments to the Act. Okay, so pretty much an amendment is a change to the criminal code, right? In Canada, we have a thing called the CCC, Criminal Code of Canada. And one of the points I wanted to bring out is advocating genocide. It says every person who advocates or promotes genocide is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment for life. And they can twist these things because the brothers bring out, for example, Obadiah 1:18, and they can twist that into us advocating for that, which we don't advocate any harm on anybody. All we're doing is preaching the truth of the Bible, which the Bible is in this land at least still known as the supremacy of the land. In the Charter of Rights and Freedom of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, right? The Bible is still known as the supremacy of the land. So all we're doing is teaching the truth of the Bible, the prophecies. All right. Now let me go here. Hold on. Hate crime. It says offense motivated by hatred. Everyone who commits an offense under this act or any other act of Parliament, if the commission of the offense is motivated by hatred based on race, national or ethnic origin, language, color, religion, sex, age, mental or physical disability, sexual orientation or gender identity or expression, is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment for life. So right now we're in the time of using prudence, right? As Yahweh Shai said, in the book of Matthew 10:16, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Now let's look up this word wise. Okay, phronimos, right, which means intelligent, wise, prudent, example, mindful of one's interests. Down here it says thoughtful, example, sagacious or discreet, implying a cautious character. We need caution more than ever now. We need prudence. We need supplantation, means a supplanter. Okay. While G4680 denotes practical skill or acumen, right? So pretty much a cautious or thoughtful, right? Meaning think before you speak now. you know. And again, this bill, I'm not saying using our prudence will save us, because it's not about that. You know, the men who will be brought before councils, they're going to be brought before councils, you know. They're going to dig out stuff from videos 10 years ago, right? Because this act, it's not just for anything that you do when this bill is passed, it's for previous things that you put out online, right? So they can pull those things up as well, right? And look at this definition of hatred for the purpose of subsection 1. Hatred has the same meaning as in subsection 319, and I have the definition in another highlight because we need that, actually, that definition. Here it is, right here. So definitions, right? Content that foments hatred means content that expresses detestation or vilification of an individual or group of individuals on the basis of a prohibited ground of discrimination within the meaning of the Canadian Human Rights Act, and that, given the context in which it is communicated, is likely to foment detestation or vilification of an individual or group of individuals on the basis of such a prohibited ground. Right? And again, like I said, man, Obadiah 1 and 18, and Isaiah 14 and no, it was that prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers. A lot of these scriptures, man, they're just going to use and say, look, this is what you said. What do you mean by this? And are you advocating for whatever? And violence, as it says here, content that incites violence means content that actively encourages a person to commit or that actively threatens the commission of an act of physical violence against a person or an act that causes property damage, blah, blah, blah. All right. And we're not inciting any violence. We're not telling anybody to go commit any violence. You know, we're just telling you, look, the Lord is coming back. There's going to be a third world war. All right. There's going to be an economic calamity. All right. There's going to be poly-crisis. And pretty much they're doing this, obviously, to get the prophets off the street. We know this. All right. We know this, man. That's the goal, to get the truth off the internet. Because this is meant to, this whole bill is meant to, as they say, protect the mental health of people online. All right. So down here it says content that incites violent extremism, or T, means content that actively encourages a person to commit or that actively threatens the commission of for political, religious, or ideological purpose. And we're not threatening anybody. We've never made a threat. The Lord is actually threatening you, devils, man. That's in the scriptures. The Lord is threatening you. Now, there's some more stuff I want to bring out. Right? Fear of hate propaganda, offense, or hate crime. A person may, with the attorney's general consent, lay in information before a provincial court judge if the person fears on reasonable grounds that another person will commit an offense, right? So under those sections, so people can come up and just bring information, say, hey, these guys are spreading this or saying this. And like I said, man, perilous times. These are very serious times. Be mindful of your tongue and what you say. Okay, I read all this. Now check this out here. Actually, let me go back here. So power to enter. So it says, subject to subsection 91, an inspector may, for a purpose related to verifying compliance or preventing non-compliance with this act, enter any place in which they have reasonable grounds to believe that there is any document, information, or other thing relevant to that purpose. Now, when you read in this bill, when they say power to enter a place, to enter could actually mean your house, or enter a place can mean your house or your computer, a phone, right? It can also mean that in that way. It says, enter by means of telecommunication. An inspector is considered to have entered a place if they access it remotely by a means of telecommunication. All right. See, it says examine any other thing that is found in the place and take it for examination, use or cause to be used any computer system at the place to examine any document or information that is found in the place, reproduce any document or information or cause it to be reproduced and take it for examination or copying, and use or cause to be used any copying equipment or means of telecommunication at the place to make copies of or transmit any document or information. Duty to assist, right? It's your duty, obviously, any kind of uh, assessment, right, that the inspector needs. You have to provide that, right? So let's go back here. Means of telecommunication. An application for a warrant under subsection 2 may be submitted, and the warrant may be issued by means of telecommunication, and section 487.1 of the Criminal Code applies for those purposes with any necessary modification. Use of force. An inspector is not entitled to use force in executing a warrant unless the use of force has been specifically authorized in the warrant and the inspector is accompanied by a peace officer. Requirement to provide information or access. An inspector may, for a purpose related to verifying compliance or preventing non-compliance with this act, require any person who is in possession of a document or information that the inspector considers necessary for that purpose to provide the document or information to the inspector, or provide the inspector with access to the document or information in the form and manner and within the time specified by the inspector. Accompanying individuals, an inspector may be accompanied by any other individual that the inspector believes is necessary to help them exercise their powers or perform their duties and functions under this section. Warrant to enter dwelling house. If the place referred to in subsection 91 is a dwelling house, an inspector is not authorized to enter into it without the occupant's consent. Under the occupant's consent, except under the authority of a warrant issued under subsection 2, which it says authority to issue warrant, a justice of the peace may, on ex parte communication application, issue a warrant authorizing an inspector to enter a dwelling place or dwelling house, subject to any conditions specified in the warrant, if the justice of the peace is satisfied by information on oath that the dwelling place is a place referred to in subsection 91. Entry to the dwelling place is necessary for the purpose referred to in that subsection. Entry to the dwelling house was refused by the occupant, or there are reasonable grounds to believe that it will be refused by, or that consent to enter that cannot be obtained from the occupant. All right. So just some highlights that I found, were in conjunction with with prophecy, man. This, what I'm reading is like the goddamn Orwellian future. It's a damn it's a Twilight Zone episode, right? Inspectors and warrants and all that shit. These are the times we're coming into, right? So don't be surprised, don't be surprised when you look up, as you see here, and there's hold on, somewhere at 1 second. All right, so these are the purpose of the acts: to protect children's physical and mental health, promote the online safety of persons in Canada, harmful content online impacts of safety. And what they really mean is what? The truth, man. Right? They mentioned about child P, right? I'm not going to say the word, but they mentioned that, which is good. That's a good thing to protect, of course. There's so much child madness out there, right? I'm talking about the sexualization of children. But we know this is not about that. This is about harmful content, about propaganda, which we read about as well, right? Because they're going to deem this to be propaganda and lies, and this is all, like I said, boiling down to us being brought before judges, man, right? Governors, kings, right? Matthews 10 and 18, and ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. Right? In the NLT, it says, you will stand trial before governors and kings because you are my followers. But this will be your opportunity to tell the rulers and other unbelievers about me. Right? But when they shall deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak, for it shall be given you in that same hour for what ye shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. You're going to have a lot of tattletaling, a lot of snitching, all right, a lot of informants, government informants, all right, like we were talking about the new credit score that's coming, right? If you inform on somebody that they're doing wrong, your score goes up. So of course you're going to have that, those are for benefits, of course you're going to have that, and tenfold more upon the prophets, the men of the Lord, your family members, your acquaintances, your associates, your friends. All right, so anyway, I wanted to just bring that out, some key points from this bill. All right, so they're changing things, man. You can't, hey, they said hatred means the vilification of somebody. When you look up the word vilification, it means to make base. Okay, it actually means to make base. So we can't even. They said with intense hatred. How is that against the law to have hatred for somebody, but you're not doing anything to them? You know what I'm saying? You can hate your fucking boss. You can hate your superior at work, a supervisor. All right, without obviously doing anything and speaking about, yo, I'm gonna take that guy out, or because the prophets, we don't speak like that. We don't speak like that about we're gonna do harm to you people. We're not gonna lift a pinky, man. We're not gonna lift a fucking pinky, man. You know what we're doing? We're waiting upon the Lord. Right? Zephaniah 3:8. Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. That's all we're doing. We're letting you know the coming of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right? And he damn sure did not instruct us to gather firearms, all right, to train in tactics and military, paramilitary, tacticals. You know what I'm saying? We're not doing anything like that. That's what you wish for us to do so you can catch us. But you're still going to speak lies upon us to try and catch us. All right, but we're at the end, baby. We're at the fucking end. This place is finished. Stick a fork in her. All right, you guys have your own problems. Your military is stretched thin. Your economy is about to collapse. You have migrant issues, housing issues, cost of living issues. Your own citizens are not happy. That's why the RCMP came out with a secret report about if Canadians found out how truly broke they are, there would be sedition in the streets. Anyway, Kahalalim la Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Ruach HaKodesh. Shalom to the elect.